What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of GRAMPS Live. Tonight, here with Jeremy and, of course, our good friend Tom Brewbaker, Senior Brand Manager, Lose and Strike King. Man, it's glad to have you here, Tom. You got some stuff going on this week. Tell us where you're at this week.
We're in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Major League Fishing Redcrest. And I think this is the third episode we've done together, JT. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I love having you on because I also wanted to talk about some new toys I might have picked up or whatever recently. I finally couldn't say no. I had to get one ordered, and but yeah, I'm looking forward to trying out some new gear. I've told people for the last few years that one of my favorite reels that I came across was Lose Pro TI, and I always just thought it was, I don't want to spend that much money on a reel, blah blah blah, and then I was had some credit at Dick's for some 20% off and some sales going on and a little bit of that cash back from Capital One. And one day I just pulled the trigger and got a great deal on it. And honestly, it surprised me. I mean, I shouldn't even say surprised. I mean, not only is it real gorgeous, it was just one of my favorite reels. And one of the biggest mistakes I made last year is I like to trade and this and that all the time. So I trade a bunch of stuff in and get a bunch of other stuff. And I traded in that Pro TI and I really regretted that. So I said this year I was looking at getting one of the new ones and I decided to go for a little more of an upgrade. So I'm looking forward to getting the Elite TI out on the water and see what it's all about, have some fun with it. Beautiful, gorgeous reel. I'll do some reviews on it and talk about it too in upcoming videos, but it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it because I had one of the early product samples, and we get a decent employee discount, but the one that I have is just the initial sample before they added in 2 more breaks to make it even better. So, yeah. But just the one that I have, which is again about 90% of the one that the consumers have, it's incredible. I mean, you can cast the lightest baits into the wind with it, and it really is just the way it fits in the palm of your hand.
I'm early impressions. I mean, just it's gorgeous, but it palms really well. I'm looking forward to getting some line on it and put it to work here in the next couple of weeks as I get out and get back on the water. So Redcrest is going on. We were talking a little bit before the show about kind of the format change and things like that, and I kind of expected maybe I would see some different names pop up in the leaderboard. Not that I should have. With the format change, I thought maybe, the 2 guys that it seems like I always see at the top, Mr. Jacob Wheeler here from Indiana and Mr. Dustin Connell, both just having the day that they normally have and doing what they do. But it's nice seeing all the pros out there, seeing KVD out there for his, it's kind of like, taking that final lap in the NASCAR series out on the water this year, doing his thing and seeing all the Lose and Strike King pros out there, doing what they do as well. Have you got any good stories from the day that's going on out there yet, or is it still too early kind of in the week to?
Well, I think, was it day 1? It started today. So I got up this morning at 6:30 and I drove to Charlotte and we started working on setting up our booth. So I got to check in with the scores sort of periodically, but I didn't see a lot of the action go down. I know Edwin caught like a 6-pounder and then Dustin
right off the bat,
at the last second. So I know there was some good action. I didn't really see how it shook out, but it is day 1. So you got, some of your typical names up there, but JT, I think what we've seen already, I mean, I'm sure you saw how Wheeler got knocked out of the top 10 by Andy Morgan in their first event of the year, like literally with 38 seconds left. I think that this shift to this 5-fish, limit deal where you can still see what everybody's got. I think it's going to be exciting, every single tournament. I hope that it comes down to the last 30 seconds every single time, but I think that you'll see some guys that maybe weren't typically in the top 5, top 10. You're going to see a few people that are starting to become staples there in that top 10 again, because just the way they fish is more, conducive to the 5-fish style. I don't know if you'll see it play out as much on Lake Norman just because it is a spotted bass, primarily lake. So this is not a knock on Dustin or Jacob, but I do think like the format, you won't see a huge difference probably at Lake Norman because the fish you're just having to weed through a lot of smaller ones anyways.
Yep.
But it was really exciting to see the way that first tournament played out with Chris Lane winning in the last, 30 seconds. I was torn because, Mark Davis is a Strike King Lose pro, and I already had the press release ready to go. Mark just got the win, and then 38 seconds left, he catches a 5-pounder. So it's exciting to say the least.
Oh yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. Like you said, being a spotted bass lake, you just never know. Edwin Evers pulls out a 6-pounder and everybody lost their mind. It's like, oh, just But it's just But that's the fun thing about it too, is we fish such a variety of lakes where it's not always not that we all don't want to watch 10-pounders being caught all the time, but it's still fun that they get around and you see the skill sets of all the anglers being played, whether up north or in the kind of middle area or even down south chasing the big. So it was kind of cool even seeing them go through and pull out a lot of really awesome looking spotted bass today.
This is where strategy is going to come into play a whole lot more, because if you listen to the guys during the day, they were talking about, I need these 2.2s for tomorrow. I could weed through and catch a bunch of them to catch one more bigger fish, but they're talking about we need these for tomorrow. It's a long haul instead of the just numbers. So I found the strategy side of it very interesting.
Yeah, and I guess the strategy part too. I didn't get to watch it again, but like did you see a lot of guys specifically go after largemouth versus spots today?
It seemed like most of the focus was on spots, even though I think some thought that they were going to catch the spots quick and then go chase largemouth. But I didn't really see a lot of. I did see. I saw. Who was it? I saw. It must have been Andy Montgomery that he was throwing a swim jig and skipping it up under a bunch of everything. Looking like, he was playing more of a shallow water, but it seemed like I saw a lot of guys pull back off of coves, off of points, and fishing a little deeper. And then there were some that were kind of beating the banks a little bit, looking for those bass, trying to warm themselves too. It was kind of interesting just to see how it was played out. But they did say that I guess all the anglers agreed that if they caught a bedding fish, they could only catch it once per day, which, I guess before that had been a thing, was since, they do the measure them and put them right back in, that they would leave those fish so that they stayed where they were, but they wouldn't focus on trying to get them over and over and over again. So it'll be interesting to see how the week plays out too, but it's always cool when you're in a big championship like this to see how, how it plays out at the end. Cause sure, you can look good in day one, but you got to be able to get through those cuts and then see who makes it for the final days.
Mm-hmm.
I did notice that, some of the guys were talking about they had found largemouth on flat points, but where they expected to find spots. And then in back of the coves where they expected to find largemouth, they were catching spots. So they were kind of confused because during practice, it was exactly opposite. So I think they were going after the largemouth only to find that the spots were where the largemouth had been. So trying to figure out where did they move to was part of the strategy as well.
Okay.
Because I saw a lot of guys running around, not really fishing, just checking other waters so they had some more spots for tomorrow and the next day. So, we'll see a lot more of that, I think.
It's funny how we always have family pop in and out of the live streams. Today, for the first time, we have my baby girl, Faith, who lives down in Florida, decides that she wants to pop in and say hey to everybody. So, hey, Faith, it's nice to see you.
Hi, Faith.
I'm gonna go down and spend a little more time with her when it warms up a little bit, because she now lives in Tampa, and I need to spend more time in Tampa chasing some bass, except for when I went down there during Christmas and it was 27 degrees. Yeah, like Mike is saying, it's a marathon and not a sprint to get them all down there too. So it'd be cool to kind of play out. But we could talk about fishing tournaments anytime. We have the man from Strike King, from Lose. Man, what kind of good stuff you got coming out in the future? There's always new goodies come out. We know this because we know the trend in the fishing industry. We got Redcrest this week, Bassmaster Classics coming up at the end of the month. I can't wait to go because you know what? Out of all the years I've been fishing, I have never been to a classic. So I decided, me and a good buddy of mine, Mr. Ralph Army Outdoors, stationed down at Fort Knox, we're gonna pack up and go spend the weekend down there. And he loves going down, so he's been a time or two. But so I'm gonna pack up and go head down and spend the weekend down there with him and really check that out too. And so, yeah.
You're going this year then, JT?
Yes, we got the B&B all booked up and ready to go. Time off's been approved. Got the thumbs up from the wife because she's getting ready to go to Denmark with her family for a few weeks in May. So yeah, I got the green light to go. So I'm super excited about that.
Denmark, Knoxville, good trade.
I got family in Knoxville too, so I can go say hi to my cousins.
Oh, that's awesome. You're not a UT fan, are you, JT?
They are. I'm a Hoosier, so
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. All right. Good. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of orange down there. That's what I'm worried about. I don't want my temper to get heated up down there. I'm not a big fan of that area. But hey, if it's about bass, it's not about football or SEC that weekend. So I'm glad you'll be there.
Here in Indiana, we don't really get to talk about football that much unless Notre Dame is doing something. We have to wait for basketball or soccer or swimming or something else, or women's basketball.
Basketball's pretty good. I was randomly looking up the other day that who had the most wins in college football history. It wasn't Indiana. Indiana actually has the record for the most losses in college football history. I just wanted to share
would not surprise me at all.
Yeah, I believe it.
Every time they get a decent coach, he gets pulled away somewhere else, and we never. Just.
Well, so the Classic, it's super exciting. I'm glad you're going to be there, JT. We definitely need to meet up at some point while you're down there. But for us, it's a little bit of a atypical year because typically you come out with new products at ICAST, and we're actually launching a new product on the Lose side, a new product on the Strike King side. And I feel a little unprepared here because I like to have the goodies with me when I come on here, JT. So next time I'll bring the actual product here to the show and I'll ship you a couple of them in the meantime. But so this actually hasn't been released anywhere yet. The only people that know about it is our pro team, but we're coming out with a new version of the Custom Light. And if anybody's out there has used the Pro SP with the shallow spool, skipping and pitching reel, this is sort of similar in the fact that it has a shallow spool, but it's on a custom light frame, and it's more of that BFS system. It's for what do they even call it? It's BFS. I'm not sure exactly what it stands for, but bait finesse system, or basically you can cast drop shots and Ned rigs and extremely lightweight baits on a bait caster, which is very convenient for a bunch of different reasons. But this one, it's got the speed knot in it, like you've seen on your Elite TI reel there, where you just tie the knot, stick it in the hole in there, and then you can spool it up very easily.
I can't believe nobody's ever done that before. Once I saw that, I was like, why is this just now?
Get me. But
it seems so obvious.
Yeah. I asked the question to our product development, VP of product development the other day. So the spool, that speed knot, you'll also notice that it's not the spool on the Pro SP is different. It doesn't have that speed knot. The reason for that is because with the Pro SP, you're usually putting 17 to 20 pound test on there. Yep. And so when you tie that knot, if it did have the speed knot, we would have released it with that one, except for it was actually creating a little bit of not a crease, but you could feel it was raised up a little bit, and the knot was too big with 17 to 20. So the speed knot is going to be on the Custom Light shallow spool. And I can tell you from personal experience, you can launch a tiny little bait, 16th ounce into the wind, 30, 40 yards. So it's very impressive. And it just, like you said about the speed knot, you would have thought it's one of those things where when you see it, you're like, wow, why hasn't this been out before? But it really is something that we're really excited about. And we're also coming out with, on the Strike King side, a new color extension, which is Carolina Chrome. So for all the guys out there that like using chrome hard baits, or use soft plastics on the chrome side before, we'll have that in every size of the Rage Swimmer. Also, the Blade Minnow, Caffeine Shad. So if you fish around any lakes that have blueback herring, it's especially effective there. But it's just more of a clear plastic that has a bunch of chrome flake in it. And we went out and fished a night fishing tournament the other day on Murray, and I had a few of the sample packs, and we had like 21 pounds and probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So they like it on Lake Murray, I can tell you that much.
That's really cool. That should be really interesting. So is it kind of like a reflective kind of
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that should be really interesting. I can't wait to check that out too.
Oh yeah. Well, you hear about
so
it.
So what kind of response have you guys had from like the tungsten thunder crickets and stuff like that so far? It seems like they're hard to find in stock anywhere. I don't know if they've gotten out a lot of places yet too, but I need to hunt around too, because I always like playing with new stuff too, and just to put it underwater, hear the difference, play with it a little more too. Sounds like it's something I'm really interested in, because I'm just curious to kind of really what the differences are and how it's working. Elizabeth down in Florida is saying the thunder cricket is killing for her right now, and she's on definitely some big bass down south. That is faux show.
Well, Elizabeth, if you haven't tried out the tungsten version, I would love to hear your thoughts on that, because I think they just actually hit stores within the past like 2 or 3 weeks, and it was like limited quantities. We got them in the hands of our retailers a little bit later than we would have liked to. There's a ton of demand behind them from several retailers, so it's kind of, as we get them in, they're immediately accounted for by Tackle Warehouse, Bass Pro, all of those folks. So it's been hard for me to get my hands on them, because I only get to take from the stock that we have that are available on our website at strikeking.com. And we haven't really had any, because, all the retailers are going to get them first.
I kind of watch that, trying to snipe some every now and then, but just haven't been there at the right time yet.
They're there for maybe 30 seconds. And then that, Bass Pro 5,000, 10,000 bait order, they're gone. So
they know.
Yeah, the feedback on them has been really good. Is from a consumer standpoint. I think it's been limited access to them. Now, what I've heard from our anglers is the action on them is you can feel it a little bit more. You can actually reel it slower. And this actually was throwing this Carolina Chrome Blade Minnow on the back of a green gizzard tungsten thunder cricket. And it really is crazy how slow you can retrieve it to get that blade kicking. The action is still very erratic. Another thing I noticed about it, and this is a very atypical way, I'm sure, to fish a thunder cricket, but I guess, I don't know if it has to do with the density of the tungsten or what it is, but if you're, say you're practicing for a tournament, I know a lot of guys, instead of, just going out and flipping a jig around, they'll throw a swim jig around so they can, or a thunder cricket, they can cast it long distances and then flip it in different places. But typically you're doing that with a swim jig. You can do that with this thunder cricket. I actually was throwing it around in my pool, and it sits on the bottom. And if you have I put a scound bug, soft plastic Rage scound bug on the back of it. And when it's in the pool, it actually stands straight up like this with the craws in the attack position. So you can, if you want to slow it down and not just reel it, it'll sit in the water like a jig with the craws up. And so you can fish it slow, or you can reel it back and go for a reaction.
Yeah, so you can actually mix it up. Okay, yeah, I like that.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
Little versatility there. It's kind of like a 2-in-1 there. But yeah, from my own experience and what I've heard from others, it's the same action as your lead thunder cricket, but you can reel it a little bit slower, and you're just going to have that a little bit more sensitivity there just because it's tungsten.
And I like the fact too, especially like in 3/8, because I like throwing smaller baits.
Mhm.
And I'd like to really get my hands on some of like the 3/8. Just the other chatterbait that they came out with last year is a small. So I'm really interested in seeing where the Thunder Cricket is, kind of compared to that too. And it's fun when you talk to the folks at Lose, you talk to the folks at or Strike King, you talk to the folks at Z-Man, how well they partner together. Because I've Rick from Monster Bass has had he's had KVD on, talk about various Strike King baits, and he's had I can't remember the guy's name that runs Z-Man, but the partnerships between the two are really cool, and the fact that they're similar, but they're completely different baits. And a lot of people, don't really realize, that there are subtle differences in the Thunder Cricket. They just work with Z-Man for that attachment point, but they do their own thing, but they still catch a ton of fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a different blade. Actually, I saw on Instagram earlier, Wired to Fish did an interesting comparison where they're actually doing underwater footage of reeling them both back to the boat. They were using the lead Thunder Cricket, so I saw that and I sent them a few of the tungsten ones. I want to see them do some underwater footage with that. But it is interesting to see the comparison between the two, because it is, sometimes you want that more erratic action. It's just like throwing a flat-sided crankbait versus a standard crankbait. It's like sometimes there's a time and a place for erratic action, and then you want that tighter wobble sometimes too.
That's one thing I love about the hybrid hunter too. You're getting a more shallower version, but that thing is jumping all over the place. And I need to get some of the juniors now that I say that. I need to make my own notes when I'm sitting here talking to you, because then I remember I need to order this and I need to order this. But I've thrown the big ones, but I need to get some of the smaller ones too, just in the springtime, because it's like some point right when it really starts heating up, the more erratic you can make that bait, they're just right there ready to kill it.
Yeah, the hybrid hunter is really it's a very interesting bait. I mean, it's just completely atypical from any other, square bill or crankbait that you fished before. I mean, the way it comes through grass and
it's like, is it a wake bait? Is it it's just different. I mean, it hunts like crazy. When you're reeling it, it's like you're following it around.
Yeah.
And it's like when the fish hit it, they hit it hard.
Mm-hmm.
So size wise with those, how small do they come? Because I was looking to see if you made one that was like 1.5 to 1 3/4 Thunder Cricket, because there's certain applications here in the Midwest that actually would produce better than the bigger profile. Because all the ones that I throw now are just the standard profile. But I kept thinking, man, I wish they'd come out with something small micro for the rivers that we fish up here.
Yeah. On the Thunder Cricket. So, I might have to send you a few of them, Jeremy, because it's the tungsten one is a tighter, just that in and of itself, it being tungsten, it kind of makes it more of a tighter finesse bait. So, I mean, we have it in the 3/8 as small as we go with that one right now. I could definitely see us coming out with a larger and a smaller one here in the near future. But yeah, it kind of just being tungsten, it sort of makes it more of a finesse profile. It's also a hand-tied, wire-tied skirt. So that's another upgrade that you have with it as well.
Right.
Yeah, but I like that too, because I know that was a difference, because I used to get Thunder Crickets in bulk from Monster Bass, and I cut the little rubber band and I'd hand tie myself. When I saw that you guys were kind of upgrading that, for these, it was like, oh, that's so much the better. Heck yeah.
Have you tried the tungsten casting jig?
Man, I haven't got my hands on anything. I bought a bunch of the structure jigs last year, and I paired them up with some small crawls, and it's really hard to get that out of my hands right now. It seemed like it was such a good combination. And I would go through it. I'd make my own jigs, but I come back to that structure jig because it's got that pointed out. And I put it. It seemed like I know it caught me probably 3 or 4 of the fish I needed last year to get me over the line to qualify for the KBF National Championship. I mean, it was It was that important to me, and it was in May or June. But I was fishing this thing along the edges of rocks, along grass lines, and they just tore that thing up. And I would come home and try to even dip it in a little more paint after I beat it up, because I either kept, losing and breaking them off on big fish. But there was just something about that thing. They just wanted that jig, that combo. And so I need to sit down, because, I keep talking about, oh yeah, we're getting ready for fishing season. And it's already March, and it's getting closer to April than March. And, fishing season is coming, and I'm sitting here shooting videos that I wanted to get done like 2 months ago. But I definitely need to sit down and get some of the tungsten jigs as well.
You need to get you some tungsten jigs, and you need to get you some scound bugs. And JT, so I'll send you some. And then if you want to do a giveaway, we don't have to do it tonight. We can do it later, or we can do it tonight. But I will send out a bunch of those and some scound bugs. That pairing, I mean, you'll see when you get some. It is, if I was a bass, I would eat it. That's all I'm saying. It's just
because if you want to send stuff for me and Jeremy to play with, he lives just north of me. He's up in Indy, and I'm just south of him, and we'll be fishing together a lot this year too. But I say we if we're gonna do a giveaway, I say we do a little live stream when I meet up with you in a couple of weeks.
All right.
From the Lose booth, and we'll just do it from there. How's that sound?
I love that. Let's make it happen.
That would be cool.
All right. Yeah, we'll do it. We also have, I don't know if you've seen the baits we've released with Mach. Mach, what we've done there is just from the Mach combos, which we're continuing, spoiler alert, we're going to come out with more Mach rods and reels and baits. We had 6 hard baits that came out last year, and we're going to be releasing a lot more stuff. I'll come on here and tell everybody about it first before we go live with it at ICAST. But those are some really good baits too, especially the Mach shad, that jointed swim bait. So yeah,
tell everybody about the Mach line, because to be honest, I bought a bunch of them, and I had them in a bag. I picked them up I think they were exclusive at Dick's for a little while there, maybe. And I picked them, I bought them, and I stuck them in a bag, and then they sat in the back of my truck until, like, when I went to clean I was like, I can't believe I bought, and because I caught one on the what was it, the Revolver? Am I getting the name right? Top water.
So there's the Patroller,
but that might be the one, the plopper style bait.
Yeah,
that thing was tearing them up, and then I picked up some jerk baits, some liplet. I got a whole bunch of them. Just sadly, right over here is this 10 by 10 corner of like every piece of tackle I own. My trolling motor for my kayak, my battery, everything, while I've been working on other things in the garage. And then I found this bag of Mach baits, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I bought all these things, and then and then I fished with a few of them, but I never did go back and really get into talking about them. So tell everybody that's watching, kind of, you have Strike King, you have Lose. Tell everybody what the Mach Nation is all about.
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of your audience is familiar with Mach, just as the line of rods and reels that we've had underneath the Lose brand. It's definitely been around with Lose since before I worked here. I think it dates back to like 2014, 2015. They started coming out with basically the problem that they identified as, there we go. Look at that sunglasses holder in there. I actually use that to hold my sunglasses, and then now I just use it to hold like random things that I don't know where to put. I just put them in that little sunglasses holder.
I keep that for when I'm jumping back and forth between a kayak and my boat, or if I'm going to do a partner tournament with somebody, I have that to put my stuff in whenever I go. But yeah, I've loved a lot of the Mach stuff that they come out with. I'm a big homer for the green and black. My boat is that color scheme. It's really made for the Mach, not the Mach Nation.
Yeah, well, you'll love the new Mach 2 he came out with last year then. But so they I guess through the success of Mach rods, reels, and combos, well, I guess we'll go back to how Mach started. There was sort of a gap between quality present within combos. It was kind of like, well, maybe I'm getting a decent reel, but the blank is not going to be worth a darn. And they just kind of got associated with not being great quality. So what Mach did, they sort of burst on the scene with the Mach 1, which that sort of brought combos to a new level of quality, and a new price point, of course, to go along with that. But that's you're getting a really good quality blank and a really good quality reel, and so they've just expanded through the Smash, the Crush. We're coming out with a new one at ICAST. Spoiler alert again. Now we've had the third generation of the Mach 2 that came out at ICAST last year, and those were far and above the best-selling combo ever of all time since the beginning of mankind. So because of that, and because people love them so much, we decided to pull that out sort of as its own brand and release baits under that line as well. And it started out as a Dick's Sporting Goods exclusive. They actually came to us and said, hey, we want to have an exclusive line to go along with Mach. So we gave them I think it was a 6-month to a year exclusive on it. And now we're at the point where we started out with the hard baits. We want to expand into plastics, more hard baits, more color extensions, and have a full line there. And from what the experience that I've had using them, my favorites are definitely number one is the Mach Shad. I mean, you see that in the water. It looks exactly like, bluegill, any sort of forage species you're trying to imitate there. I've had a ton of success with it, and we've got 8 different colors. So whatever the forage is around you, there's a color for it. The profile is just awesome. And then, of course, you got that Mach Patroller, like you talked about, great plopper style bait. You got the work bait, really good jerk bait, the slack jaw, which is a lipless. And I think the one difference you'll notice between Mach and like a Strike King would be the colors. As far as the paint jobs, there's a higher end paint job there, and then upgraded hooks. And those are essentially the big differences there. And then different body styles. So that's what you're getting there. They're a little higher price point than Strike King, but that's essentially comes down to hooks, and then paint job, and then of course just being a different shape.
Yeah, because a lot of people when they buy their crankbaits out of the box, they're so used to swapping out their trebles, and if you're already giving them something that's considered an upgrade built in with the price, then they can just grab it and go out and start catching fish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're actually launching something cool through Mach Nation, and this will get rolled out initially here at Redcrest is this You Fuel the Future campaign, which is we want consumers, we want anglers to be a part of this process and helping us figure out what we're going to come out with next, and names, colors, and all of that. So we're going to release this at Redcrest. We're really going to start building, a lot of awareness around it leading into the Classic. At the Classic, we're going to announce a series of digital tournaments. They're going to be nationwide through Fishing Chaos. And
now you're talking.
Yeah, there'll be month-long challenges. There'll be one in May, June, July, and August. They'll all have a different format to them. We'll have one that's best 5, one that's a score tracker style, where it's just a 14-inch scoreable bass over the course of a month. And then for content creators out there, if you want to, compete to create the best content around Mach specifically, we'll have an avenue for that. And then a bunch of prizes, obviously, to go along with that. We'll be giving away an Old Town autopilot kayak and a bunch of other cool stuff to go along with it. And then throughout this, we're going to be forming smaller focus groups of anglers where we want to, get your feedback on, what we're thinking about coming out with. You could probably, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Sounds like there's an ambulance parade going on right now. I mean, wow. Hope everybody's all right.
But as long as we don't see you diving for cover, we know,
Yeah, I think we're fine. I'm in the 10th story of the Hilton Inn right now, and they're also conveniently doing some remodeling on the 11th floor right now. So not going to be getting much sleep here. I don't think, but yeah, anyways, it's really cool. Mach Nation, we really want to have our anglers help us build these and then be a part of, the digital tournaments as well. So I don't want to get too long winded with that, but that's what it's all about.
No, I mean, I think that's really cool. Jeremy and I both fished out of Old Towns. And I got to say, I was jumping up and down when I saw a message come out of the Old Town Pro staff today that apparently you and Mr. Ryan Lilly have been doing doing some talking, and that's really awesome. I'm glad to see. I love seeing brands that I love actually starting to talk and work together and supporting each other as well. So couldn't have had a bigger smile on my face today than I saw that Losing Strike King was going to be, having some fun and doing some stuff with you guys in Old Town. So that's absolutely amazing. And of course, Jeremy and I being heavily involved in the kayak fishing scene, that's a big deal. When you said you guys are doing stuff with Fishing Chaos, so much the better, because a lot of the folks that are in the stream tonight are joining us in our Catch 22 challenge for the year, where this year we're raising funds for Heroes on the Water. Last year it was for Mission 22. And, it's fun. So, hey, when you're in the app, it's just another one that they can download and, be participating in the lose stuff too. So that makes it the Lose and Strike King stuff as well. So that makes it awesome as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
I love seeing the fact that the brands are reaching out to people like that too, because a lot of people, even though they don't, seriously fish tournaments all the time, as you well know, recreational angling is a big deal these days. A lot of people got into it, either during COVID or after. Veterans like Jeremy and I obviously have been using it as a form of recreational, therapy, and reaching out and working with others to do the same too. One of the reasons, again, why I love what you guys at Lose and Strike King do with your American Hero program. I see, again, what else was I going to do? I was going to go get some of the tier 1 gear. Still haven't done that. I got some work to do. Still kind of like you're flipping through the comments just to see if anybody's got any questions for Tom while he's here. Be sure to throw them in there. I saw my good buddy Mike Brock was asking about, I guess, more colors for like some of the Strike King favorite baits ever, the Rage Crawl and the Rage Bug. Because I mean, if you ain't catching bass, you just grab one of those and you'll catch some fish, along with my favorite, the Ocho.
What colors do they want to see?
That's a good question. What colors would you guys want to see in a Rage Bug or Rage Crawl?
Methylate.
Yeah, seriously, we need to bring that back. We had it at one point.
And, yeah, I know. I had to go I remelted some methylate baits to make some little crawls and some Senkos, just so I had methylate that was what I needed for this time of year. I love that orange.
Yeah, our friend Matthew is saying motor oil. I still like that Okeechobee Crawl. That just does it for me in everything.
Well, I'm pushing to have us bring Chameleon out in pretty much every soft plastic.
There we go.
So
Dan is saying fluorescent purple. I love the like laminate looking ones that just, it's like when the bait's moving or doing its thing in the water. I've got so many of those, the Rage Tail like worms, that, I mean, even if I get the tail ripped off of it, then I have it as acting as a stick bait, Ned rig, whatever. It just flat catches them. Tim Tweet says wife wants pink. Of course. And there's always a place for pink.
Absolutely. Yeah. Bubble gum.
Yeah. Bubble gum. Yep.
Yeah. They've been around forever.
We had bubble gum, and hey, it's about to be bubble gum floating worm time. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I got a question about line, because I'm getting ready now. I fished the same line for the last 25 years. So I kind of, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I couldn't decide between the regular Contra versus the tour grade. Is there that much difference between the two, or which would you recommend for somebody who takes tournaments seriously?
Well, that's a tough question. I've heard our anglers give several different takes on it. Like, for example, I've heard you know, Andy Montgomery uses Contra strictly across the board for everything that he does, whether he's cranking or flipping or whatever. I think the diameter is a little bit, I think it's thicker on the Contra. But I was just, you know, I was just fishing 8-pound Contra fluoro the other day on a drop shot. And it's really good sensitivity. You know, it's a great price point. I think by and large, the general opinion is if you're cranking, throw tour grade, and if you're flipping or doing anything else, throw Contra. It's obvious it's preference for a lot of people, but that seems to be what I've heard the most often is if you're cranking, throw the tour grade, flipping or any sort of, you know, bait where you're just not working, you're just working it back.
Right. I loved it because I also noticed that you guys have the envelope where when you take your old line off, you put it in the envelope, send it in, and it gets recycled. I thought that was cool just in itself because that's that much line that's not going to be on the water. You know, people can just, when they have a backlash, and instead of, you know, just cut it off, put it away, and then ship it back to you guys. And I just like that concept. So
that's good conservation right there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, if there was a way to scoop up all the line that ends up in the lake, I mean, that would make it ends up in the lake and ends up who knows where, but sometimes in your trolling motor and then bust a seal or something like that. I mean,
yep.
And then I'm sure all of us would admit that there's been a time where we set the hook and we could have sworn we had a big bass, but it was somebody's line. That was just
fishing this breast pile, and yep, I got line.
Because it gives a little bit, and you're like, oh my God,
it's there. Yep. That's awesome. I appreciate that because, like I said, I'm getting ready to switch out line, and just there's so many choices on the market, you know. And I was like, well, trying to find the right one for me because once I find it, then it's mine for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a lot of people think that because of the price point that it's, you know, mid-grade. But I can send you guys the test data on it compared to other competitors out there on just strength, abrasion resistance. And the numbers are really impressive when you compare it to higher end line. So it's something that we've had a, you know, multi-year process of testing and improving before we released it out there.
Right. So and I like your price points. That's one of the reasons, you know, I was looking at it seriously is if it's more my income level. So.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of it and I use the braid too. I haven't gotten to try out the mono, but the braid's really good as well. That's what I've got on all my stuff and hadn't let me down yet. So.
That's good.
I've fished Power Pro since it came out. So if that tells you how much braid I use and how long I've used it. That was like new back in my day.
Oh yeah. Power Pro's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Well, it seems like the comments and questions are slowing down. It looks like one favorite that they'd like to see again is motor oil. So maybe that's something that you take back and, you know, but it's good to see the people coming in asking for different stuff too, but we won't keep it too long because I told you tonight too. It's like for the folks who don't know in the audience, I've been homesick the last couple of days. I wasn't going to mention this at the beginning of the stream because we'd have like 2 people watching right now. But I've been homesick with the stomach bug last, you know, a couple of days, and then Tom's got some of that going on in his family too. So he's gonna head out a little early and take care of family as well. But yeah, Mike is saying that motor oil's on fire at Monroe. I still try to hide from Monroe as much as possible. That place is the Dead Sea to me. But Jeremy and I said that we were going to get the boat out this year and fish a charity event for the Fallen Outdoors that's there in May. So we're definitely gonna have to spend some time up there for sure too. And it'd be funny to get back into a boat after only I would buy a new boat and then not fish out of it and spend all my time in a kayak. But you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. But I'm looking forward to, and like I said, I need to go through and sit down and get an order together because I want to check out the new tungsten jigs and everything that you guys have come out. There's so much new My son is on stream saying he caught it for me. No. Oh, nay. I didn't even see you last weekend, dude. I saw Jeremy. Did I see John Michael last week? I don't think so. If I was going to give it to somebody, it would have been Jeremy because I was at his house hanging out while I was studying for my drone test. So, I'm glad to get that done with.
Congratulations, by the way.
What's that?
On passing the test.
Ugh. You talk about 10 days of study of useless information that I don't even want to. I'm glad. I got a nice DJI drone over here. I'm going to learn how to start flying it because I've had them before, but now I'll be able to use it for the channel. I can start moving to making the content that I like to make and get out and have some fun doing all that too. So yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, he said he was at the house last week. That's right. You probably gave this to me. It's your fault. Anywho, Jeremy, you got any more questions? I do not want to keep Tom too long tonight.
No, he actually answered all the questions I had. The other one I had was about reels, and I've been looking at getting a reel for skipping, but it sounds like that new one coming out with me. Like I throw bait casters 99% of the time, so I'd rather fish something like that than a spinning rod and reel any day.
I got to hook you on the ways of this Pro SP. As cool as that new one may sound, I am a big fan of the Pro SP. Yeah, I actually picked up one of the 7.5-to-1s as well.
For skipping, I'd go with the Pro SP, absolutely. And I'd also get a 6.9 Andy Montgomery Signature Series rod. It's just a great, not only is it a great skipping rod, I mean, it can make somebody like me that's not very good at skipping. Like my wife she's like, dang, you're really good at that. And I was like, I know. I mean, I'm not normally this good at it. But it will teach you how to skip and just really, it adds that element to your game. If you're somebody that's like, oh, well, I'm not just going to go around this dock and skip all around it. If I've got a good opportunity where it's an open lane and I've got, I feel like I can make the skip, then great. I may make one or two around this dock and then flip around it the rest of the way. But it makes it so easy. You can just skip all the way around the dock and just get it in the perfect position every single time, and then build confidence in it. And then before you know it, you're skipping with all your other reels as well. I would definitely recommend the Pro SP for that. If you're a short guy like me, the 6.9 is great because you don't have to worry about hitting your rod tip on the water. And then when the shallow spool, a custom light shallow spool comes out, that's going to be great for any sort of lightweight baits or like jerk baits. I mean, a lot of people throw jerk baits on a spinning rod. You won't need to do that with this custom light shallow spool.
Okay.
Yeah, now that you say that, I've got a Dobbins Caden jerkbait rod that I think I've got another one on there too. But yeah, that custom light sounds like it'd be perfect for throwing jerkbaits as well. But yeah, I'm gonna have to put that Pro SP in his hand because I love it. I mean, Jeremy sat there and watched me in the kayak, and a lot of people are like, you can't really skip in a kayak. I sit down. There's a lot of people that stand up. But when you kayak fish along, enough, you adapt your techniques to either sitting or standing, and I can skip a jig anywhere. I'm not Andy style, but I model he's one of my favorite anglers because that is one of my favorite techniques. And being able to put a jig under overhanging branches, between pontoons and a boat stop, or boat slip. I mean, just wherever you want it, you can get it there, and it's just another good way of catching fish. So yeah, I have to get Jeremy hooked up and try out the Pro SP.
Yeah, let me try one of those. That would be cool.
Need to get you on Tom's list. Get you converted over.
Get him on the list.
Heavy all the goodies.
Well, I'm just glad I get to fish Strike King this year because I have this deal where I'm fishing only baits available through Monster Bass. Yeah. I'm doing an exclusive for this year, but part of that was because I knew I could fish Strike King baits. So,
well, I'm going to send you guys some Thunder Crickets and some of these casting jigs, and then we'll run it all back again at the Classic and do a big giveaway there.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. All right. Well, we're going to give you back the rest of your time. I am going to go take some Imodium and try to recover from this. Hey, dude, Tom, again, as always, thanks for taking your time out of your day, come hanging out with us. It's always fun to be able to talk with the guys in the industry like you. And again, as we get closer to ICAST and other new things out, we know that you always love giving us a little, sneak peek of what's coming and all that as well. And of course, we, you always have some goodies to give away too. So we'll do that. I'll do something down there when we're at the Classic, because realistically, everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to go make all this content?" No, I'm going as a fan. I have never been to the Classic. I'll bring cameras with me. I'll talk to lots of people, but my focus is not going to be creating content. I'm going to go be the biggest fanboy you ever saw. Bill Dance is one of my all-time favorite heroes, and many of them are. I mean, there's going to be guys running around the Classic that I've seen at boat shows 25 years ago. And I mean, I remember when Shane was little, my oldest, when he was little, meeting out in Jones, and I'm just going to geek out and just go be a complete fan and have a good time. But in the meanwhile, I'll be able to meet Tom in person. It's going to be awesome. I really can't wait. Yeah,
I'm excited about it. When I met Bill Dance in person last year, I fanboyed so hard I forgot where I was. And
so, I mean, how can you not? It's Bill Dance.
You see him with the Tennessee hat on in person, you're like, oh my gosh, that's him.
Yep.
So yeah, he'll be right at home there in Knoxville.
That's awesome.
All right. With that, folks, we're going to cut out of here tonight. Thanks for joining us. Next week, we're going to go live on Monday at 7:00. We're going to have Mr. Ryan Lilly, the brand ambassador for Old Town Kayaks. He's going to give us the history of Old Town, talk about all the different stuff they've got going on, some new programs they've got going on to support the grassroots level kayak fishing, series and tournaments across all the states. They're taking it down off the national level and bringing it down to the states to really support a bass fishing out of kayaks. And so Jeremy and I, we love that. And I really can't wait to have Ryan on next week. It'd be a great show. Tom, Jeremy, thanks for joining us tonight. Folks out there, I thank you again. It just melts my heart. Every week we have people coming into the live stream to say, hey, it's that time of year. I can't wait myself to get out on the water and catch my first fish at 23. These two knuckleheads are already ahead of me, but my day is coming. Until next time, get outside when you can and make some memories. And I don't just say that just to say it. Do it, because you never know. You just never know. Enjoy every day out. Spend it with times. Spend it with friends, family, and enjoy every nugget of it. But make those memories. When they grow up, you just don't get them back. I mean, it's just one of those things. So get outside when you can and make some memories. One cast at a time.